Hey, how we doing, FLR family? Back for another quick video. Was looking at some of the comments from the last video. First of all, big ups to you guys, man. That video in the last 6 months was #1 that I did on the beach, and I left the beach and came back with a slight cold. So go figure. I think that means I need to go back to the beach. But anyway, that video on horizontal growth, man, you guys rock. That video shot to the top of all my videos in the last couple of months. So appreciate that. And there were some good comments in there. You know, some people asked about, demonstrating and showing more. So I'll definitely going to do some more videos. One of the things somebody asked about was delegating. One of the things they asked about was staking. So I was going to take a quick moment and show you how to stake, the two different ways you can stake on FLR. And if you look at the screen right here, you can earn up to 45% annually. This is what I was talking about. So what is that comprised of? What that's comprised of is that the FLR drops. First of all, the FLR drops make up a sizable amount of that APY. If you look here, you see it says 23.74% of this 45% estimated is just in the FLR drops alone. So if you are delegating and wrapping or staking and compounding your airdrops, you're going to be looking at about a 45% annually APY. And that's because 23% or so come from the FLR drops. Now, we only have about 5 more FLR drops left. January 2026 is the end of the FLR drops. So, but if you look at this, you can kind of see how this works. And so this 45% that I was talking about, by owning FLR tokens, contributing to the decentralizations, that means you're delegating and wrapping or you're staking your FLR to validator nodes. So 45% annually is what you can be getting. 23% of that is coming from the FLR drops. And then you can look here, you can see, let me see if I can make this screen a little bit bigger for you. Hold on for a sec, guys. Okay, so maybe that's a little bit bigger for you. But you can see that staking has a higher APY. So there's a way you can stake. This is staking directly on chain. This is not necessarily Sceptre, but this is staking directly on chain. And you can see the APYs are higher on staking, and they will be higher until about 30% of the participants have decided to stake versus delegate. So as long as staking is a low percentage in terms of the number of people that decide to stake on chain directly with those validators, the APY is going to be higher on staking. So I have some staked. I have some that I delegate to the FTSO. So I'm maximizing and getting the most I can get because I am taking advantage of some of this staking. 50,000 is what you need minimum to stake on chain. And then you have Sceptre, which Sceptre will either stake or they'll delegate. All right. So Sceptre will they'll either be delegating to an FTSO or they'll have some of that through staking. So just FYI, I know the difference. But at the end of the day, whether you're going with Sceptre or you're doing it yourself, right? If you're doing it yourself, you still can earn up to 45% annually. The only thing that Sceptre does, and I'll get into that in a second, is Sceptre does this for you. So you don't have to worry about the weekly claiming and all that stuff, or you have to worry about, oh my God, does the staking run out? And when it runs out, do I have to restake? Sceptre kind of does a lot of that for you for a 10% fee. So it does cost you. But once you're familiar with this, you can do it yourself and save yourself the 10%, pull it out and move it out anytime you want to. But anyway, let's get into this real quick. So first of all, there's Sceptre. Sceptre does it for you. Sceptre has liquid staking, and they do it for you, right? They essentially automatically claim the rewards, compound the rewards. They do it for you, and they charge a 10% fee, whenever you pull it out and swap it back to wrap FLR or simply just take it out of their platform. So let's go here and let's look. So on the Sceptre platform, you can see here, liquid staking, you've got the stake tab, and it tells you about the buy-in fee, what it's costing you, etc. So read that stuff over. I won't spend a lot of time going through that. It tells you what the estimated APY is, and it tells you kind of how that's based. So it tells you the annual percentage rate, how they calculate that. So good information for you to read. This is showing I've got 20 of them that I could available to stake, right? Showing my wallet address, showing my wrap flare. I can stake off of wrap flare, right? Or I can stake off of flare. And then I can go and do a maximum. Now, what I'll do is I'm not going to do that many. So I'm just going to take some of my wrap flare, and then it tells you what the buy-in fee is, how many I'm going to get in terms of sFLR. So sFLR is worth more, of course, because it has the compounded figured into it. So sFLR is worth more than wrap flare or regular flare. And then it tells you during the snapshot, it gives you good information on this. There's their 10% fee I told you about. Okay. Now, again, remember, this Sceptre is doing it for you. So you don't have to go in every 3.5 days and redelegate and find the best FTSO. They do it for you. That's why they charge you that fee. Okay. So even if you do it and you get 10% less than 48% APY, you're still winning, right? You're still winning in that case. So here we go. So if you get to this point, then you're going to have to go through and approve the buy-in. And let me just confirm that in my wallet. Okay. All right. So staking is successful. Your wrap flare has now been staked, and your sFLR will start accruing value. Earn with sFLR. Discover protocols where you can put it to work. So listen, you just staked your flare or wrap flare to Sceptre, and you're going to start earning that 48% APY less the 10% fee. But you can also use that sFLR now in liquidity pools. You can use it in Blazeswap liquidity pools, and you can do an LP pair between sFLR and wrap flare. When you go into LP pools or liquidity pools, you got to worry about impermanent loss. But if you're going from sFLR to wrap flare, that's not as bad, right? Because if the price of flare of one of those goes higher or lower, then you're going to get more of the other token, right? But even in that case, if you do that, you're still not in a bad position. You can go to Cyclo. You can go to enosys, right? Enosys has more, and it even gives you the APY. Look at this one right here. Right now, sFLR and USDT on enosys is paying 69.85% APY. And why is that? They probably anticipate the price of flare going much higher, so they're paying juicy APYs right now. Plus, you're going to get, when you also participate in some of these liquidity pairs, you're also going to get rFLR. Remember, you're going to get rFLR rewards as well. But you've got other pools in there. You've got sFLR, HLN, and enosys. I would not ever participate in these. I don't really care for their tokens. I don't want their tokens. And the likelihood that flare goes up in price, whatever one goes up in price, you end up getting more of the one that stays the same or goes down in price. So if sFLR goes up, I'm going to get a lot of USDT. Not as worried about that because I can take that USDT and immediately buy my sFLR back if I wanted to. In this case of sFLR and enosys or HLN token, I don't want those tokens. So I don't want to be in a liquidity pair where I could end up with all of 100% of those because the price of flare goes up. I don't want those. And yes, I could swap them out, but I don't want those tokens. I don't have any value in my mind of holding those tokens. So I have no interest in participating in those pools unless I want to be okay with getting the other token 100%, because that's what happens with impermanent loss. You can go to Kinetic. You can lend it out. You could supply it and lend it out and earn 0.57% APY. You can go to Raindex and use it in Raindex. Sparkdex. This is what I'm talking about, guys, when I talked about horizontal growth. Horizontal growth. You've taken your flare token. You've staked it. You can then take that liquid token or your other token, receipt token, because remember, you don't do an either or. While you're staking, while you're delegating, you can still use that token. And this is what I mean by horizontal growth, because you can then take it and use it in these LP pairs, or you can lend it out and you can earn even more APY on it, and you can earn rFLR rewards on it. So you now have a token that's giving you 48 to 50% APY. You're lending it out, or you decided to go into one of these pools and earn earn right here rFLR rewards. And when earning those rFLR rewards, you're going to be earning not only your 48 to 50%, but you're going to be earning more flare tokens. And when you get those flare tokens, again, you wrap them and delegate them, or you wrap them and stake them, or you wrap them in. So you see how the cycle of horizontal growth keeps going. It doesn't really matter right now where the price is. But these are the different ways. Once you've staked with Sceptre, you can use and earn even more on those tokens that you already got sitting there baking in the oven. Those tokens are baking in the oven at a 48% APY. Now, remember, I'm going to show you the other way to stake it. You got to have a minimum of 50,000, but I'm going to show you that. But once you stake those tokens, those 50,000 tokens, you're going to still be earning this APY. Because remember, that APY is associated with, it's FTSO or staking rewards, right? So you've got the staking rewards plus the airdrops. So you're still going to be earning a big APY if you decide to stake. So let's go over to the FLR portal and let's look at staking. So if you go to the FLR portal, which is portal.flare.network, go to staking. And I don't have 50,000 free right now, but I will show you. So you go to staking. When you go, you see I've already got about 100,000 staked. When you go to staking, you're going to click on stake. And you need to have FLR tokens, okay? So you got to select, you got to make sure you unwrap your FLR tokens. You need a minimum of 50,000. That's what it's telling you right here, 50,000. The minimum time to stake is 14 days. You got to have a minimum of 50,000 to stake. You would then stake your 50,000, and then you'd pick a validator. So a validator is who you're staking to. You can see it pops up here. You can sort by who's paying the highest APYs. And if you go here, you can see you got, we don't know who this is yet. There's probably someone new that just came into the network. But you got, let's say, FLR Bus. FLR Bus has different validator nodes. FTO Best has some different validator nodes. Knots, African Proofs, Sundara. You can then, based on their APY, you can select them. And then it's going to show you, you've selected that for a 22.46 APY. You've chose to stake until, and it says here 8/25/25. So the minimum is 14 days. So pay attention to this. The minimum staking time is 14 days. So you wouldn't want to be quick and hit stake, because then you got to remember in 14 days to come back and restake, because once it's done staking, then you have FLR tokens that are just sitting there and you're not earning anything on them. So you got to be mindful and you got to pay attention. Go to your calendar on your phone, put on there when the staking period ends so that you don't get left out with your FLR tokens, because if they're not wrapped and they're not in here staked, you're not getting airdrops, okay? Very important. You could stake also until the validator ends. So if you click on stake until the validator ends, you see that right there? Now all of a sudden it's showing you 10/5, October 5th, 2025. So that is the period in which these tokens would be available and you would be earning through 10/5 of 2025. So remember, when you go in here, the minimal time is 14 days. So it's going to automatically populate 14 days. You got to go until the validator ends. That way you don't have to remember in 2 weeks. But when you check the validator endpoint, go to your calendar on your phone. Go to your calendar on your phone, put a reminder in there that you need to restake because that's ending. The other reminder I put in my calendar, whether it's in your phone or it's in your computer, wherever you keep track of things, every 2 weeks is when you get to claim your staking rewards. Every 2 weeks. It's usually around the 1st and the 15th of the month, typically. But every 2 weeks is when you need to claim your staking rewards. So you'll also want to put that in your calendar. Now, you can see that this is a little more interactive, a lot more engagement, but I don't have to pay a 10% fee when I stake this way, okay? I don't have to pay a 10% fee when I delegate to my own FTSOs. But if you just want to set it and forget it, Sceptre is good for you. You're paying 10%, go with Sceptre. If you want to maximize and get the most out of it, then you got to engage yourself a little bit, and that's why I'm making this video to show you how to do it. This is how you stake on-chain, portal.flare.network/staking, okay? And then you can maximize out how much you're going to get from the staking experience, okay? Once you are staked, once these tokens are staked, you also cannot do anything else with them right now. Right now, you can't do anything with them. So with Sceptre staking, some of the benefits associated with that is you get these tokens, these sFLR tokens. Now you can go do different things with them. When you stake on chain, you can't do that with FLR, with your FLR tokens. Not yet. That doesn't mean it's not coming in the future, but not yet. So Sceptre, sFLR gives you the flexibility to do some different things with your tokens once you get them and continue building the horizontal growth. The portal staking with FLR gives you a higher APY on your staking because you're staking directly with the validators, but it requires a little work. So it just depends on your appetite. If you've got the appetite to engage on a regular basis, set yourself some reminders, you can maximize. If you don't want to do that, that's what makes sFLR perfect. That's what makes it perfect, because sFLR does all of that stuff for you. You get your APY, you set it and forget it. You can go use the tokens. Hey, it's perfect. So there's options, and that's one of the great things about FLR is that you've got options with your tokens. We can continually use those tokens and continually benefit from the tokens. If you go to FLRmetrics.io, you can look at the different validators that you can stake to. You can look at what their fees are. You can see here their fees are over here. So let's go to fees. Let's sort by fees. If you click on the fee column, because you can't, so remember, when you go in here and you look at this validator, you select a validator, all you see is their APY. You don't necessarily know what their fee is. So it's important to understand that. So let's see. Oh, my computer's moving slow. The average fee is 15%. You can see some of these guys have a, let me go backwards, guys. Sorry about that. All right. Validators. Come on. Anyway, you'll see their fees in this column. My internet is moving slow. Tell you what, you know what I want for Christmas? A fast internet connection in my office. That's what I want for Christmas. I'm the only one in the office, and the internet's moving like there's 50 people in here. So for Christmas, I want a faster internet connection. Okay, Santa, please, I need that. But anywho, I won't sit here and belabor the point on my junky internet right now. But if you go to FLR Metrics, and again, as always, I'll put these links in the notes so that you can get there as well. But you can see what the fee is. So if you're going to do it on chain, if you're going to do it yourself with your 50,000, you go and look at this validator. You want to go and say, okay, well, 4DADS FTSO's charge have a 13% APY. You can go to FLR Metrics. You can look up through validators. You can look up and see what the fee for DADS is charging. And typically what I'll do is I will go and I'll find the validators that are paying the best validator rate. So I could go to this site here and I can find out, okay, this guy's paying 22. Let me go see what his fee he's charging, right? So it's important to know what the fee is. FLRmetrics.io shows you the reward rate. It also shows you the fee. And traditionally, this thing, when I sort it, works, but it's not working that fast right now. But it'll show you the fee. It'll show you the reward rate. And so you can choose based on the fee and based on how much the actual reward rate, which one you want to choose. So don't just blindly go in there and do it, okay? So make sure this is nice and helpful, but you also should know what fee they're charging you, because if they're charging you 20%, and this guy's charging you 5%, then it's probably better for you to maybe just do the math. You can figure out it's probably better to go the other way. So, all right. You can get to FLR Metrics also from the FLR.space advisor site. It'll take you there. All right, that moved a little faster. Okay, so here we go. Fee, APY. So if I sort by APY, I can see this guy's charging a 10% fee, right? Here's your fee, 9% fee. 9.5% fee, right? Some of these guys like Sundara is a 5% fee. Sundara has 383,000 in free space. You can stake until the 29th of August. So see, I would be going with Sundara because their fee is lower, right? But again, do the math. I got to go do some math on this, but it might be worthwhile. Just deduct the fee from the APY that tells you which one is actually paying the best. But this kind of gives you an idea on how to do staking using the FLR portal, staking using Sceptre, benefits associated with both, higher APY if you do it yourself, some tools to evaluate that, You got FLR Advisor. You've got FLR Metrics, which will take you to the P-Chain Explorer. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Certainly do appreciate you guys liking and subscribing to the channel. And I appreciate you. Thanks, guys. FLR fam out. We'll see you.